Well, hey, everybody. I just wanted to take a few minutes to answer the question that I'm getting the most these days. In fact, it's a question that maybe a lot of you are asking as well. And the question is, when are we going to reopen? My short answer to the question, I'll just say this, and I don't say this tongue in cheek. I mean this seriously. My short answer to the question is, we never closed. As a matter of fact, those of you who've been engaged with us, you know that the church hasn't closed in this season. In fact, the church has been alive and well. This church has been alive and well. You guys have engaged in some amazing ways with us. In fact, even more so through our online experiences. And I just want to say thank you for that in this season. Thanks for engaging with us. Thanks for believing in the things, the content that we're putting out there, and not only the content, but the experiences. As we've engaged one another online in this season, it's been amazing. But I know what people are asking. What people are asking is, when are we going to get back together? But I think language is important, so here's how I want to talk about it. Here's the language I would like for us to use. When are we going to resume in-person gatherings? Now, here's why this is important, is because we have a lot of different types of in-person gatherings. It's not just our worship service. We have in-person gatherings for kids. We have in-person gatherings for teenagers. We have in-person gatherings on Friday night in our Celebrate Recovery ministry. We have in-person gatherings through our short-term groups and our interest groups and our community groups. We have in-person gatherings through Starting Point and through Thrive. So there's lots of in-person gatherings, and all of those things need to be considered in different ways. And we're going to be able to engage in those things in different ways along the way. But before I tell you more about that, specifically, I want you to know there's a lot that goes into this decision making. In fact, maybe more than even you would suspect. There's at least 4 critical considerations for us in this. And I want to tell you about them for just a second. The first one is obviously safety. We think the safety consideration is paramount. And we're not only following the guidelines of our federal and local government, we're keenly aware and we're watching the CDC's recommendations as well as the Arizona Department of Health. And all of those things are going to go into when we gather, how we gather, the ways in which we gather, the numbers of people that are able to gather. Not only that, there are several other churches that are going ahead of us. We don't necessarily feel like we've got to be the first, but other states were able to gather even before us. And so we're being able to watch, and we're learning firsthand from some other people that are gathering before us, and we're learning some best practices in that. So we want you to know we're not going to resume any in-person gatherings on any level until it's safe to do so. It's safe for you, and it's safe for the other people that you'll gather with. The second thing is unity. And I know that might sound strange, but there's a massive amount of unity that's happened in this season, both within our church and with local churches around us. Let me just start with our local church. In a recent survey that we did, we found out that half of our church really is sort of like, when in the world are we going to reopen? When in the world are we going to start regathering together? And then the other half of our church is saying, hey, tell me you're not planning to do this sometime soon. And so there's all sorts of potential. And here's why I even bring that up. It's because I think there's all sorts of potential for the enemy in this season to divide us, because everybody has strong opinions and nobody really knows each other's circumstances. And so here's the thing, as we have a phased-in approach, we're not going to make everybody happy. Some of you are going to think, hey, it's way too fast. And others are going to think, man, we're going way too slow. But the truth is what we want to try to do is balance that and resume in a way that's unifying for us, so that when we regather, we're all sort of on the same page and feel good about how we gather, which means in the short term, we're probably going to gather, when we start regathering, there will be a hybrid. We'll gather online and in person some for a while. And that seems sort of to be the trend of the foreseeable future in terms of how we gather. So it's really important that we maintain the unity that we've sort of really experienced in this season, not just within our church. Here's what some of you know. We've really been collaborating and working with other churches around us. And there's lots of churches. In fact, every week I'm going to call with about 40 plus churches of the largest churches and some of the best churches in our state every week. And we've gathered with the governor. There's somebody from the governor's office on our call each and every week. And here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with those churches to sort of regather around the same time, especially churches of similar sizes. And here's the thing. There's some smaller churches that are going to go ahead, and you may have some thoughts on that, positive or negative. But here's what I want you to know. We're not going to comment on that. We're not going to comment, and I'm going to ask you not to comment. We don't know what those other churches' contexts are, and we don't know what's most appropriate for them. And so we're going to do what we were told as teenagers, and not even just teenagers, as adolescents. We were told to keep our eyes on our own paper. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep our eyes on our own paper. And we're going to make the decisions for our church that are most effective and honestly that are safest and most responsible for our church. So safety, unity. The third one's influence. Because of what you've done through Helper, we have gained a massive amount of influence in our community. Not just our local community in terms of our mayor, but with people that are outside the church. Lots of your friends and neighbors that you've shared this experience with. You may not know this, but since the beginning of when we were meeting strictly online only, the first 8 weeks, our online experience grew by 45%. That's extraordinary. I don't know what's happening with all the other churches, but I know that's not normative. And it's because of what you've helped us provide. It's because of what you've been sharing. It's because of what you've been doing. And we've gained influence in our local community with people who were outside of our church and with our local government. And it's even growing within our state. This upcoming week, I have a call with the governor's office about Helper. And they want to talk to us about potentially regionalizing that and spreading that out through the state. And so I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I know there's a whole bunch of other churches that want to join in. And there's a way, as the needs increase in the days ahead, for us to not only continue to expand our influence, but to expand our help in serving our community. And here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to unnecessarily, in a controversial way, because we regathered too soon or because of an incident or something that happened within our church, I don't want to unnecessarily forfeit the influence we've worked so hard to gain in this season. So it's not just safety, it's not just unity, it's influence as well. And then last is effectiveness. I want us to regather in a time when it can be actually a celebration and it feels effective. I don't want people to come in here and us to gather in such a way that goes, like, that didn't even feel worth it. I would have rather sat in my living room and watched on my television. I just don't want to have that experience. I feel like when we're able to regather, it needs to be an amazing celebration. And we're going to have to phase into that. But when we refill this auditorium, I just don't want us to be on pins and needles. And I don't want us to be wondering. I don't want us to be thinking about, are things sanitary and are there people around me that are sick? I want us to be able to, in freedom, join together and celebrate and worship as we always have, as we used to, as we've even been doing in the freedom and the comfort and the safety of our own homes. And so I just want you to know, effectiveness is important. It's going to be different when we return. There's no doubt about that. It won't be exactly the way it was, but I want it to be different, better, not just different. I want it to be different, effective. I want it to be different, this is a word we use all the time, irresistible. I don't want to create a resistible experience for people who engage with us online and now have shown up and they're going, this is not what I expected. This is not the experience I had online. I just think it would be a shame if your friends and your neighbors, the ones that you've invited, the one you shared the experience with, they showed up for the first time and they experienced something that felt resistible. I feel like we have a stewardship for that. So all of those things are considerations: safety, unity, influence, effectiveness. We're balancing all those things and we're trying to make decisions. Now, here's what you'll notice. On the same page, there's a plan that we've laid out based on the phases that have been marked out for us by our federal and local government. And we're officially in phase 1 here in Arizona. So now we're officially in phase 1 here at Mission. And you'll notice some of the things we're going to start doing to regather in some of our smaller groups, specifically our adult ministries. We're going to start phasing those things in. Much of the things we're still going to be providing are going to be online. All of the things we've been providing to this point online are going to continue. But until we move to phase 2, nothing will change. And when we do, we'll let you know. And for those of you who have questions about this phase 1, about should our group regather and what does that look like and how do we do that effectively and should we do that? What about vulnerable populations? We're going to give you guidelines on those things, and we would love for you to reach out to us if you have specific questions. But you can expect some communication in the days ahead. For those of you who are in phase 1 gatherings that are going to be in person, we're going to give the option for in person. We're going to be providing some guidelines for you so you can look out for that. But at the end of this video, here's what I'd really love for you to do. We've laid out a plan. It's all subject to change, and the timeline is all based on the phases in which we operate in here at Arizona and the way the governor leads us through that. We feel like we need to operate according to those guidelines and the spirit of those guidelines. as we move forward. But we want your feedback on how we should regather when we regather. And so if you do me a favor, after you look over that plan, there's a button on there that says take the survey. If you take that survey, it's a short survey. I think it's only 5 or 6 questions. You can answer those 5 or 6 questions. That would give us a lot of good information about how to gather when we regather. I just want to say lastly, I'm really grateful for all your support. So many of you have sent me so many personal messages of gratitude and your thanks for our team and the work we've done in this season, and you're grateful for the leadership that's provided, and much of that's been provided not just by me, but our staff and our board in this season, and we're grateful for that, and we're grateful for your continued trust in us as we lead us to a safe, unified gathering that maintains the influence that we have and also continues to provide effective ministry environments, both online and in person, when it's safe for us to do so. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for trusting in us. Thank you for supporting us in this plan. And I look forward to gathering with you in person when we're able to do that.